Hello and welcome to News 6 Extra. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell, and thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon. We have a lot to get to today, including a community that has been overrun by peacocks. I personally love to see those beautiful animals every once in a while when you're driving through Central Florida. But for people who live in that community, they've become a real nuisance. We're going to have their story for you coming up. Also, a new traffic pattern along I-4 aimed at easing congestion around the parks, if that's possible. But first, President Donald Trump is ordering Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury testimony from the Jeffrey Epstein case. This story has consumed Washington, D.C. lately. It comes as a new Wall Street Journal article alleges that President Trump wrote Epstein a suggestive letter. Reporter Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
As the president grows increasingly frustrated with focus on the Jeffrey Epstein files and pressure from some of his own supporters to release more information.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
The Wall Street Journal alleges Trump wrote Epstein a birthday note in 2003, included in a collection of letters with a hand-drawn sketch appearing to be the outline of a naked woman. The Journal says the letter ends with, quote, "Happy birthday and may every day be another wonderful secret." President Trump calls the letter fake, writing on social media, "These are not my words, not the way I talk." He's now threatening to sue the outlet and owner Rupert Murdoch. Hours after the Wall Street Journal report, President Trump ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to seek to release pertinent grand jury records from the accused sex trafficker's case, which Bondi says she will ask the court to do.
I've never seen this type of request before.
Mitchell Epner, a former federal prosecutor, says a judge will make the final decision and the request could take months or more. And it's unclear how much of what the DOJ has it will seek to release.
It could be very broad, but it is not, and it is certainly far from everything that they could make public.
The push to release all Epstein files has divided Republicans after the DOJ issued a memo this month saying Epstein did not have an incriminating client list. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
At the same time, the president was handed a legislative win overnight. The Republicans in the House passed a measure to claw back $9 billion in previously approved funding, including money for public media. Now, News 6's Mark Lehman shows us how this could impact our Central Florida PBS and NPR stations.
With these cuts, the White House has called public media bias and an unnecessary expense. Now, supporters of PBS and NPR, however, say they provide an invaluable service to the community, and that's being hurt by this reduction in funding.
The resolution is adopted.
The House giving final approval overnight to a large budget cut bill endorsed by President Trump. The measure cuts $8 billion for foreign aid programs and about $1.1 billion canceled for public broadcasting.
It is the most serious funding threat that we have ever had in the history of public media.
Local affiliates like WUZF and Central Florida Public Media have been fearing the cuts for months, saying the loss of funding will hurt local journalism.
That funding is worth the equivalent of about 3 reporters, local reporters.
The Trump administration says the package improves wasteful spending, claiming the public media system has become biased and unnecessary.
Finally ending taxpayer funding for PBS and NPR, 2 media organizations that have ridiculously used federal dollars to push a partisan left-wing agenda for many years.
Local stations say the reduction in funding will be difficult and they'll have to rely on other sources of funding to push forward.
We are incredibly strongly committed to nonpartisan reporting that covers not just both sides, but all sides.
Now, when it comes to the cuts to foreign aid, Democrats argue that it will hurt America's standing in the world. The White House says the rescissions benefit the American taxpayer and should incentivize other nations to help when it comes to humanitarian crisis issues. For now, reporting in Orange County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Now to some changes impacting drivers on I-4. Tomorrow, new ramps are set to open up, expanding a diverging diamond at Darrell Carter Parkway. News 6 community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez shows us how this could hopefully ease traffic near the theme parks.
If you've driven here recently, you've probably had to figure out how exactly this diverging diamond works, but on Saturday, some new ramps will open up, which will give more traffic options for people in this area. The project is transforming the Darrell Carter Parkway overpass between Disney and SeaWorld into an interchange that will provide additional access to attractions and relieve congestion by adding 3 new I-4 ramps.
I'm excited for it. Honestly, yeah. I feel like it's going to make my commute much easier.
This weekend, the wait is over because some of those ramps will finally open.
As long as we've lived here, it's been a lot of traffic up Darrell Carter, so I'm hoping that that solves that.
I think that it hopefully will fix some traffic issues overall. I think that would be super beneficial. I think it needed to happen sooner than later.
If you haven't been on Darrell Carter Parkway since the diverging diamond opened in the spring, here's how it works. Drivers will go to the left side of the road at the first signal, like we are right now, before crossing back over to the right side of the road at the second signal on the diverging diamond. According to FDOT, compared to a traditional interchange, diverging diamonds can move twice the number of cars in the same amount of time while cutting crash risks in half. The new ramps will be eastbound and westbound I-4 off-ramps to Darrell Carter Parkway and an eastbound I-4 on-ramp. A westbound I-4 on-ramp is still to come. The ramps will officially open to drivers on Saturday. Reporting in Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Stephanie, thank you. Coming up, we're going to be talking about a foul problem as well as your forecast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. And we know Central Florida is known for having a booming population right now, but one part of Central Florida is having a booming population of peacocks and peahens. The birds are creating a few problems for other humans who live nearby, including property damage. They make a lot of noise. And overall, they're described as just being a general nuisance. So our community correspondent Alex Cook went out there to see if there are any solutions to this foul problem.
Residents here at the Costa del Sol condo community in Orlando say they're tired of living with neighbors they say are loud, inconsiderate, and unruly. Dozens of wild peacocks.
pieces everywhere, and the kids plays in the ground. You know, that has so many bacteria. So that's one of the things that we worried about. They go after the kids.
Residents say a neighbor brought in 2 peacocks years ago. They've been having babies every year since, adding more peacocks and more problems. The large birds attack dark, shiny cars, trying to fight their reflections. One resident spent thousands repairing his car before finally giving up and getting a lighter color.
They scratch your car because they think they're fighting. And it's funny because all I hear is thud, 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 because they're pecking it with their beak. And then they go to the other side of the car because they think they'll get to that other bird. And then they're not just pecking at it, they're jumping up and they're scratching it.
Victor works from home and says the constant noise interferes with his job and his sleep. They've also damaged his property.
I'm missing part of my screen because one of them got in there and I guess got a little upset or scared and they smashed through there. They're constantly on the roof. I had to replace 2 tiles already over time.
Worst of all, they can't seem to get anyone to help.
We have tried to call everybody, governmental agencies, private vendors.
I contacted Orange County, the city of Orlando, and Florida Fish and Wildlife, all of whom say it's up to the residents to remove the peacocks. Calderon says they can't get a trapper to show up and that no one seems to have a place for so many wild birds.
They don't want to come at all, so it's something that, you know, for us is ridiculous at this point.
The problem only getting worse with time, the human residents of Costa del Sol desperate for results. In Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
That storm system that hammered Central Florida earlier in the week is now making a mess in parts of Louisiana. CBS's Katie Weiss shows us what's being done to prevent more flooding.
Torrential downpours slamming into southern Louisiana dumped up to a half foot of rain, blinding drivers and sending floodwater into roads. Lightning also lit up the sky over New Orleans as the storm system moved onshore Thursday. In Morgan City, Louisiana, these pump stations are the best protection from flash flooding. Mayor Lee Dragna says they work hard to push rainwater back under levee walls and into the Atchafalaya River.
If this isn't working properly, what happens?
People flood, businesses flood. Happens, you know, we're going to avoid that.
The mayor says the pump stations are aging and need to be watched 24/7. If they break down in a storm like this, it only takes 20 minutes for water to overflow and flood the city.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about what's coming now.
Near New Orleans, people have been filling sandbags to protect their homes and their neighbors.
Making sure that my neighbors are okay because a lot of the elderly don't have cars. They can't get out here to get sandbags.
Crews there have been clearing catch basins and draining canals to prepare for flooding.
I think that we all need to be prepared during hurricane season, and this is part of it.
And in Morgan City across the river here, those pump stations could be further stressed by more rain on the way. The mayor says that those pump stations right now can only pump out about half the capacity they'd normally be able to if they were in top shape. Katie Weiss, CBS News, Berwick, Louisiana.
Well, here in Central Florida, we are actually drying out a bit. Meteorologist Michelle Morgan is standing by with a look at our weekend forecast.
A good Friday morning. I'm News 6 meteorologist Michelle Morgan. Thank you for heading over to clickorlando.com and our News 6 weather app. Today's going to be a hot day across Central Florida. Area of high pressure is continuing to build over the Atlantic. It will continue to move westward as we head into the weekend, making things even hotter across Central Florida. So taking a look at your hour-by-hour forecast with the temperatures and the heat index values, the feels like temperatures there. By 10, we're at 84, feeling like 94. By noon, 89, feeling like 100. I do think things will feel like 104, 105 degrees with daytime highs climbing into the middle 90s. Forecast highs across Central Florida, Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach, Cocoa Beach, you all will see a high of 90, 95 in Sanford and DeLand, 93 in Leesburg, and 94 degrees in the Villages. The heat risk for today will be moderate to major, so just make sure you are taking it easy if you're planning on being outside today. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Rain chances will be much lower than yesterday along our coastline, between 20 to 30%. Inland spots between 30 to 40%. Marion County, we're looking at Ocala at 60%. Now, it's not going to rain all day, but some downpours are certainly possible in a few locations. Now, taking a look at the setup as we go through the next several days, area of high pressure will set up shop over the peninsula, keeping things rather hot across central Florida, lasting into our Monday with daytime highs reaching the upper 90s. So we will definitely be above average, and heat index values will be between 105 to 108 degrees. Clouds and rain forecast keeping things dry through the morning. Isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible after 1. Hit or miss. A few downpours are possible along the I-4 corridor between 4 to 7 o'clock this evening, and then later on tonight, looking nice and dry. A few isolated showers are possible. Taking a look at the tropics, there are no tropical development expected in the next several days. National Hurricane Center hasn't highlighted any areas of concern. So here's a look at your 7-day. Today, we're looking at 95 degrees with a 30% chance for rain. Saturday and Sunday, a high of 97. I've placed a 20% chance for a few isolated showers, a 50% on Monday, also keeping that high in the upper 90s, and then we are entering a rainy pattern beginning on Tuesday.
All right, Michelle, thank you. And thank you for spending some time with us on News 6 Extra on this Friday afternoon. Of course, you can always get the latest headlines anytime at clickorlando.com, and be sure to join us for our next newscast this afternoon starting at 4.